everybody. Good morning. This is your host, Jordan Tremaine, and welcome to the Perspective Podcast, where we explore new thoughts, connect ideas, and offer perspectives that may change the way you think about a thing or two. And today, we're talking about prerequisites. Okay, so hello, everybody. Good day. Howdy do. Before we get started, I am going to make this announcement periodically, so get used to it. But if you're new to this podcast and don't know, the Perspective Podcast is, I have this project going called Connect, where I send people or give people postcards. And the postcards are blank, and they have stamps already put on them, and I send them out free of charge because I think it's that important. But the idea is that I'm going to mail you this blank postcard that's pre-stamped, and then you're going to write a message on it and send it to someone you know, so you can send someone else mail, and then they get to get mail from you, and hopefully it starts a conversation. And at the very least, it creates a little bit of a connection, and it lets people know you're thinking about them. So I have a bunch of these postcards, and when I run out, I'm probably just going to buy more and put a new design on them. When I send them out, they come with a sweet Perspective Podcast sticker that's holographic. So if you want a holographic sticker, holla at your boy. You can get in contact with me through my Instagram account, which is Jordan Tremaine _. Or if you go to the Anchor podcast page, you can drop me a message or something like that. But contact me, and if I can get your information, I'll send you one or two or five. And that's under the pretext that you're actually going to try and send these out to everybody. Don't ask for 5 postcards and then not use them. I want people to use these. And if you're going to maybe you're a mom and you have 3 kids and you ask for 4, but then, you give one to each of your kids and you guys all sit down and write postcards to grandma. That's dope. I hope that's great. But I want these postcards to get used. So please message me on Instagram, which is Jordan Tremaine _, and I'd be happy to send you guys some stickers and some podcasts or some postcards. But yeah, I just want to tell you guys that. But we're going to get on to what I came here to run my mouth about today, which is prerequisites. And prerequisites, if you've been to college before, you know what this is about. That I'm going to explain it in a more general way that's not super focused on college classes. It's prerequisites apply to everything. One of the common terms I hear that to me sounds like there's prerequisites is there's levels to this. If you've heard that means you got to go to level 1, then level 2, level 3, level 4. There's a progression. There's prerequisites before you can get to a certain level. It's like layers of an onion. If you've watched Shrek, where you got to peel back layers to get into the inner circle of the onion, or the inner onion of the onion. But kind of that being said, the context that I want to kind of place today's discussion on, or today's dissertation, because I'm not talking to you, I'm talking at you, on prerequisites. It's just because you can explain something doesn't make it explainable. And this ties in a lot to the episodes I did on logic fusing and logic aliasing. This is kind of more in that realm of reasons why you could be misunderstood or why misunderstanding can happen. I think prerequisites is one of the reasons why misunderstanding happens or why learning can be so difficult. And just like I said, just because you can explain it doesn't make it explainable. And now that I've said that, it's okay, what does that mean? Let me explain. So there's certain things that take prerequisites in order to obtain. And without the prerequisites, you don't even get the chance to try to obtain it. So like in college, if you want to try to take the calculus class, like not even like pass calculus, if you want to just sign up, that's like try to learn calculus, you have to have mastered or passed or taken a test and passed like all the prerequisite classes like trigonometry and algebra and arithmetic and pre-calculus. You have to have all those prerequisites before you're allowed to even try calculus. Like when you're playing Pokemon, like the Game Boy game. Before you're allowed to even try playing the Elite Four, you have to beat all the gyms and get all the gym badges. Those are the prerequisites for playing the Elite Four. At least back when I played the Pokemon video games, back when I was a kid. Maybe they're different now. But unless you have the prerequisites on lock, like you got them, you know them, or you've mastered those skills, you do not have access to trying to attempt to get the higher level skills. And to go back to the college example with calculus, calculus is very explainable. There's textbooks on it, there's teachers, there's Khan Academy videos. Like, it's not a concept that's impossible to understand, but it's not a concept that someone that doesn't know arithmetic really has a chance of understanding at that time. Like, they could learn arithmetic and then learn all the other prerequisites. But if you're at the level where you do not know arithmetic, calculus is out of your league. It's too much for you and you won't be able to understand it. You'll most likely alias or fuse if you've listened to the Logic Alias podcast, the Logic Fusing podcast. And it's specifically because, not because too much information is being thrown at you, but because you do not have the tools to play the game of calculus. And it's not a matter of somebody being a bad calculus teacher. It's not the explanation. It's that the prerequisites are missing. And that's what I mean by just because you explain it doesn't make it explainable. Just because you are a calculus teacher doesn't mean you can explain calculus to an infant or to an adult that doesn't know math. It's something that takes previous knowledge that you build up on. You know, it's like stairs. Like, just because the last stair on a skyscraper exists doesn't mean someone can step on it right now if they're on the ground level. They have to step up each stair so they can get to the top stair. Every once in a while, maybe there's 3 stairs and you can jump over 2 stairs and get to the 3rd stair. That happens every now and then, where you have enough of whatever in order to skip some steps. But often there are things where there are so many steps that you cannot skip steps. And if you do skip steps, you are going to encounter a whole boatload of hardship or misunderstanding or struggle. It's not going to be straightforward. It's going to be quite the endeavor to try and grasp something without the tools that you'd normally use to grasp it. It's another example would be like say you have a song like that's on like an MP3 file, and so you have a flash drive, and on the flash drive is an MP3 file, and there's a song on it. And let's say you have a computer, and you know that there's a song on the flash drive, and when you plug it into the computer is like, yo, I have a program that plays MP3s. Let me put it in that program, open it up, and it plays the song. Right? Cool. But let's say that because an MP3 file, if you're not like super into music, is like it's a compressed, simplified version of a song. Like for almost all intents and purposes, you get the version of the song that you as a human can understand, but it's compressed to where a lot of the information in the audio is totally lost. And there's something called a FLAC file that has way more information in it, and it's like a more fuller, richer sound version of the song. But if you had a FLAC file on your flash drive and you tried to plug it in your computer, most computers do not come standard with a program that can run FLAC files. And so it'll be like, what is this? I can't work with this right now. Because the computer needs something in order to play that FLAC file. It needs a tool to play that FLAC file. It needs a program to play that FLAC file. There's a prerequisite that needs to be accomplished before we play this FLAC file, and that's the program that plays the FLAC file. There's a lot of things in life where you can manage, where maybe you didn't download an MP3 program, but it came standard on your computer. But there's other stuff where you need to set some stuff up. You need to go through an install process. You may need to go through some updates. You may need to, like with a video game, you may need to actually play level 1 and level 2 to get to level 3. Right now I'm watching this show because this guy at work told me that in season 3, there's a really interesting concept that it came up in this conversation we were talking about. And the conversation was so interesting that I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this show. But I was also like, if I start at season 3, there's a large chance that I'm going to miss a lot of the meaning of what's going on in season 3. So let me start in season 1, which I didn't want to do. I'm going to tell you flat out, I did not want to start in season 1 and plow through 3 seasons of this show to understand this one concept. But it was interesting enough to me, and it has something to do with some of the stuff I'm going to talk about later. It seemed worth it enough to me to actually do the prerequisites and watch season 1 and season 2. And the show ended up being really good. I'm still watching it right now, and there's a lot of interesting concepts in it, and I think they did a really good job with it. Also, one of the things that also made me want to watch the whole thing is this is not the first time that show has been recommended to me. And so I was like, okay, multiple people are recommending it to me. This person says it's a really, really interesting concept in season 3. Let me go and get through this show. But I'm purposely going through season 1 and season 2, even though I want to be in season 3, because I want to understand the show when I get to season 3. I want it to make sense. I want to do the prerequisites. So, pretty simple episode. I think prerequisites are not just college classes you take in order to take other classes. Like you got to take your 100 level classes to take your 200s and your 200s to 300 and 300 to 400s. I'm not talking about that. I mean, that's also involved in this idea where if you try to take a 400 level class, you probably like fail, or it'd be really difficult for you because you missed all the building block knowledge from the 300s and the 200s and the 100 level classes. So it still applies, but I'm trying to expand that concept of just classes into everything, where most things take prerequisite understanding, and especially the subtle things in life. Like when you play sports, a lot of the little finesse that people do in sports, it takes them years to figure that stuff out. Like the basic stuff, like the basic rules of a game, people can figure it out in like a week. But to figure out like in cycling, where like if you're riding a bike, I'm talking about road bikes right now, and you're going down a hill, and the hill's gonna it's like a valley, and you ride down, and then you go to the bottom, and then you ride up in the valley. You're riding down the V and up the V on the other side, and you're trying to go fast. You're probably gonna have a high gear ratio to pedal down, so like you can pedal hard, but there's like this subtle skill of shifting your gears correctly so that the transition from riding downhill to riding uphill is like butter. It's like really smooth. And if you get it wrong, then it makes it really hard to keep speed. And this is like a subtle skill of road cycling that you gain over time. You gain this like intuition of like, okay, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. And then you feel the dip when you're about to like change directions from going downhill to uphill. And you're like, click, 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 click. And you're, and like when you hit it and it's good, you're like, oh my gosh, that was so smooth. That worked so well. But that takes practice. And it takes knowledge that that's even a thing, where you have to go through that situation and mess it up a couple of times to be like, hey, wait a second, if I shift my gears at the right time, then this could be a better experience. And that kind of subtle stuff takes the prerequisite of practice, of going through that kind of situation before, of trying it out and failing in different ways. And this idea of prerequisites is it happens in conversation with concepts, where sometimes you need to like back something up and like, oh, this, and somebody's like, what are you talking about? And it's like, oh, okay, let me back up a little bit. This, and they're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. Where you need knowledge before to get to after. In skills, sometimes you need skills to build on other skills. Even with this podcast, when I say go back and listen to that previous episode, what I'm saying is like, there's prerequisites. If you want to have the best experience, if you want to really be able to use this tool good, then go back and get the concept that's important to help you learn this tool. Get the finesse, get the little subtleties of it. So like when you're in a sword fight, you can be like, oh, okay, swing, 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 and you like know how to finesse the sword. Don't just have a sword, know how to use it. And the little things, the little knowledge, the experiences, and the practice that you do is like all the prerequisites that build up to your current skill level. And I hope that we're trying to be skilled people in whatever we do. We all do different things, but I think in the stuff that's important to you that you're trying to do, I hope that you have skill in it. I hope that you keep building skill in it. But I want you to know that high level skills involve prerequisites, no matter if it's thinking, whether it's learning, whether it's like being an athlete, being a mom, being a dog trainer, like whatever the thing is, being a poet, like you there's prerequisites, there's stuff you learn that comes together over time to like create the skill that you have now. And on the one hand, it's good to know that, I think, because like in that podcast I did on the ability to appreciate, you understand that it's having a skill is not an easy task. Like when somebody's good enough to make something look easy, that's because they did all the prerequisites. And that's like, wow, that's great. Not like, oh man, that's so easy, I could do it. No, it gives you this ability to appreciate because you can understand how much work it takes to get to that level of finesse where you can be like, swing, swing, swing with the sword. And also, I think it gives you some motivation, or like some, maybe motivation is the wrong word, but like ability to persist when things aren't going your way or they're not happening as fast as you want. Like it helps you like calm down and say like, okay, maybe this isn't going my way because I'm missing some crucial previous steps, or this is not an overnight success thing, so I can be more satisfied with taking my time rather than feeling like a failure because I didn't do it in 2 days. When this is not a 2-day process. If I ignore all the prereqs, this is a 2-day process. But when I look at all the prereqs, this is really a 6-month process. So I like knowing that now. It can help me a lot with actually following through and finishing, because I'm not feeling like a failure. I'm not feeling like this isn't going anywhere. I'm like, no, I'm building up the prereqs, because a lot of times when you're doing the prereqs, it doesn't seem like you're adding value. It doesn't seem like you're getting anywhere. And it's like you plant a seed, and there's a certain period of time where you don't see anything growing. There's roots forming, there's germination happening, there's all these things happening under the soil, but you don't see that kind of stuff. And then even when you do see a sprout, sometimes it takes a season or a couple of seasons for that sprout to turn into something that bears fruit. And those are all prerequisite stages. The planting stage, the rooting stage, the sprouting stage, the growing stage, and then the fruit stage. Like, those are all stages that you have to go through. You don't just immediately jump to the fruit stage and like, oh yeah, now I have all this fruit. You have to go through the prerequisite stages. And sometimes knowing that can really help you accomplish success, and it can really help you appreciate other people who have fruit. And you'd be like, man, you must have worked really hard to have this much fruit, or this fruit is really good. You must have some like special finesse about the way that you garden your garden. If you listen to that Your Mind is a Garden podcast, because I went into this really lengthy garden metaphor in that podcast. But yeah, that's kind of the idea for prerequisites. And I hope it helps you somewhere down the road. I hope that you get some perspective from it, and that it helps you appreciate people that are grinding it out and doing a lot of work to improve themselves, to improve their skills, to get better, or to encourage other people. Because even encouragement, like sometimes you try to encourage somebody or try to help somebody get to a certain stage, but you got to validate whether or not they have prerequisites to even be at the stage you're trying to encourage them to be at. Because sometimes, uh, like you're trying to teach someone to run when they can't walk, and you have to go back and say like let's start at walking, or let's start at crawling. Um, and if you keep trying to teach someone to run, then you could run into a lot of relationship problems because now they're never going to be there. You're trying to teach someone calculus that doesn't know arithmetic, and it's just going to be like frustrating for everybody, and it could like cause division and all that kind of stuff. So even just recognizing that prerequisites are a thing can help you be like, okay, so how can I use this concept to help me meet other people where they're at, and not like project onto them where I think they should be, but say like, okay, where is this person really at? And if I think it would help them to encourage them to be in this direction, maybe I can start a conversation with them, and if they're interested, then we can diagnose where they're really at. You can take some like metaphorical placement test, and okay, now, oh, it turns out you're in algebra 2. So we don't have to do arithmetic, we don't have to do algebra 1, we don't have to do pre-algebra, but we do have to do algebra 2, we do have to do trigonometry, and we do have to do pre-calculus. So now that I know where you're at, I'm not going to teach you calculus right now. We're going to start at algebra 2 because that's where you're at. So it could help with that kind of stuff too. So, yeah. In this idea, it can be frustrating to take what some people call the long way. I like to look at it more as like, don't cut corners. Cutting corners can seem cool, like skipping classes can seem cool. And if you're smart enough to skip classes and jump from algebra 2 straight to calculus, like dope, that's cool, like good for you. I think most people are not to say people are dumb, but I think most people like walk upstairs one step at a time, which is why the steps are that big. And so just let people go at their own pace. Encourage people. Try not to sanitize. Haha, that was a good podcast. Try not to sanitize situations and say like, this is what I want the situation to be, so let me ignore the reality of the situation and let me try to push what I want to happen. If there's somebody who doesn't have the prereqs, they don't have the prereqs. So that's really all I'm going to say about that. Sanitation. But yeah, this has been the Perspective Podcast episode on prerequisites, and whatever kind of day you're having, whatever kind of day that you're having, I know I say this at the end of every podcast now, and I really do mean it. I hope that you had a real day. Some people say, I hope you have a good day. I do think that good days are cool, but I think more important than that your day is real. It's not filled with a bunch of fakery. You don't have to fake who you are. You don't have to put a smile on when you're really not smiling on the inside. Like, sometimes, you got to do what you got to do, but, like, I think being able to express your real feelings, being able to live in reality is, like, super liberating. It's very calming, and it helps you, like, connect with people and be vulnerable and, like, actually be around people that care about you. Because if you're being fake all the time, which I'm not, like, trying to shame you if there's situations where you feel like you can't be yourself. I'm saying it's super dope when you can be yourself. So try to do that. And try to be around people that let you be yourself. And that's why I say I hope you have a real day. Because real days, they may not always be good days, but they help you be you. Because in a real day, you got to be you. And I would call that, on some level, a good day. So I hope you have a real day. And I hope that this idea, this concept that I'm putting out right now of prerequisites turns into a good conversation for you somewhere down the road. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys next week.